Hello guys, how are you? Alright, so I hope all of you are doing well. Okay, so today we're gonna discuss all about the C++ inheritance and a function overriding. Okay, so let us start discussing from the inheritance. Okay, inheritance is one of the concepts of a class. Okay, so which means we are using two classes in order to give the concept of inheritance. So let us say we have a base class and the derived class, or a mother class and the child class. Okay, so that's how inheritance work in a programming language of the C++. Okay, so usually inheritance gives a derived class or a child class inherit all the members inside the base class. Okay, so that's how inheritance work. Okay, but before that, let us go to the main objective of this discussion first. Okay, so the objective of this discussion is all about understand the concept of using inheritance in the class, define the difference between base class and derived class, discuss the process of a program with a use of inheritance, apply the concept of inheritance in programming problems. Alright, so I hope at the end of this discussion all of these objectives will be attained. Alright, so let us start. Introduction. So inheritance is a key aspect of object-oriented programming. Yes, so that allows for reusing of codes. Okay, inheritance also allows to pass all the classes or code, including that which is marked as a private. Okay, so to another class. So the class that will inherit is known as the base class or parent class or inherited. Okay, so the class that will be inherited is the base class. All right, and the class which will inherit the base class is what we call a derived class. Okay, so let us give you a sample. Okay, so this is how derived class works. Once a class derives a class, the derived class can access all the data member. Okay, so as what I have said earlier, whatever the class member, the data member of the base class can be inherited by the child class or the derived class. Okay, so except those declared as private. Okay, so if there are class data member inside the base class which is a private, then that data or that member cannot be accessed by the derived class or a child class. Okay, so I hope you will understand that one. Alright, so here is our base class. So let us say our base class is what we call animal. Okay, and we have a member function of eat and sleep. So these are our functions inside the base class. Okay, and we have here the derived class, which is the dog. Okay, don't forget to use public animal. So this is one way to access our base class. Okay, so without this one we cannot access our base class. Okay, if you will say class dog, so meaning this class member or this class will not access or cannot be inherit something in this class. Okay, but if you are going to call also the base class, which is using by a colon and a keyword public and the base class name animal, so this means this derived class or child class can be accessed whatever data member and member function inside the base class can be used by the derived class. Alright, so I hope you will understand that one also. Okay, so don't forget also, if you are declaring a class, you will have a semicolon at the end of the body of the class. Same here with the derived class here. Alright. Okay, so let us proceed here. So the example above shows the dog class. Yes, so we have a dog class as derived from the animal class. Okay, meaning our dog class will be inherited this class. Okay, so everything inside the base class will be inherited by the dog class. Okay, so since dog is derived from animal, dog can access animal members, which means this one, or the content inside the body of that class. Okay, whether a data member or a member class. Okay, so all of those content inside the body of the base class can be inherited by the child class or the derived class. Okay, so let us have an example in the real life. So our parents have a lot of things, okay, that they have. As a child, to our parents, everything they have, we can also inherit those things. Okay, we can use those things also. It's because we, as a child, is part of our parents. Okay, so that's also same concept in inheritance. Alright, another one is, please note that public keyword is used when inheriting dog class from animal. Okay, so as what I have said earlier, a keyword public is used to inherit the base class, okay, which is the animal. Okay, so if you're not going to use the public keyword, so you cannot inherit the base class. Okay, so don't forget to use public keyword in order to inherit the base class, which is the animal, and also the semicolon. Alright, so I hope you will understand that one also. Okay, next is, inheritance is a connection that exists. Okay, so meaning you can inherit something if there is a connection between your base class and your derived class. Okay, but if there is no connection between the two, that means there is no inheritance. Okay, just like for example, we have a base class animal and our derived class is what we call vehicle. Is there a relationship between the two? No, right? It's because animal is different from the vehicle. Okay, they don't have the same characteristics. Okay, so that is why there is no connection between the two, and we cannot use inheritance on that particular thing. Okay, we only utilize inheritance when there is a link between the two classes, right? So, like for example here, a car is a vehicle, right? Is there a relationship between the two? Yes, they have a relationship between the two. Orange is a fruit. Yes, there is. Surgeon is a doctor. Yes, there is. Dog is an animal. Yes, there is, because dogs are animals. Cat are animals. Okay, lion are animals. Okay, so let us proceed to the next example. Okay, so this is a program which demonstrates how inheritance works, okay, in a program. So as you can see here, we have a base class, okay, which is the animal, and we have the member function, which is eat and sleep. Okay, so our function here will have a definition, which is see out, I can eat, and the function sleep has a definition, see out, I can sleep. Okay, so if this two function is being called, then automatic all the what? All the definitions inside, or all the statement inside of this member function will be what? Will be output, okay, or will be processed. Alright, and here we have the derived class. Okay, so the derived class is class dog. Okay, and to inherit the base class, so we will use colon, public, and animals. Okay, so the derived class also has a member function which is bark. Okay, so the definition of our function here is cout I can bark woof woof. Okay, so how are we going to execute the statement or the definition inside our member function? So to execute those things, we will create a object. We will create an object using the derived class. Okay, we will not use the base class to create a object, to create an object. Okay, so we will use a dog to create an object to demonstrate how the derived class inherit all this member function inside the base class. Okay, so here our member the derived class is dog. Then we create a, what's this? Object. Yes, so the object dog1. Okay, so to use this object, we are gonna call the member function inside the base class, which is the animal. Okay, so inside the animal we have function eat, we have sleep. Okay, to call that one using the object, so we just need to execute the statement dog.eat open close parenthesis and terminator, dog1.sleep open close parenthesis and terminator. Okay, so everything here will be what? Will be accessed by this derived class or this class dog. Okay, and to call also the member function of the derived class, which is bark, you just only need to what? To use the object which is dog1, then dot bark. Okay, see, that's how simple. Okay, that's how simple we can create or we can use to call the member function of the base class and the derived class. Okay, and the output of this will be this one: I can eat, I can sleep. So where this statement came from? So these statements came from the base class. Okay, so these are the definitions or this statement which is holding by the cout I can eat, I can sleep. Okay, and the I can bark woof woof is coming from the member function which is the bark. Alright, so that's how inheritance work. Okay, and that's how you can get whatever definition of the member function inside the base class and the derived class. Okay, so let me see, let me give you some example of demonstrating how we're going to create a program which is we are gathering data and transfer those data into this particular data member, okay, of the base class and the derived class. Okay, so this is an example of inheritance. Okay, so we have here the base class and the derived class. So I used here only one member function, and this one also is a cout, so which is I will use another member function, void what function? Let me see. This one we will use the bark. Bark. Okay, and then this one. Alright, so let us delete this one. Alright, so we have here let us have string, oh no, let us have int a, int b. Okay, so we will pass two data here and we will calculate the data just being passed inside. Okay, so let me have a definition of this function. Let me see, let us say, let me create another one, the data member. Let me see, let us say int c, okay, or total, because we are going to calculate the two data. So total, this is all public. Alright, okay, so we have a data member, we have the member function, and let us say total is equals to a times b. Okay, so we will calculate the two, and let us have C out. The total value is total. Okay, so whatever the calculation here, will be output, okay, in this statement. Okay, let us say 2 times 2 is equals to 4, so 4 will be transferred or stored in this particular data member. Okay, so if you are going to call this one, then whatever value here will be an output on this particular statement. Alright, so let us see that one later on. And here, let me string x. So let us say, I don't know, C out. So this program is very simple, so that you will understand how it works. Okay, let us say C out hi, then C out x. Okay, so meaning this will say hi and the name. Okay, so we are going to gather a name and the two value which are going to be calculated. Okay, and the person who used the program or who used the program to calculate the data will put his name here. Okay, so let us have here. Okay, so we will gather data from the main function. Okay, these are the definition of our class and also here. So let us gather data. So name and input value 2, input value 1, input value 2. Okay, so they are going to input a value 1 and value 2, and after that one we are gonna, what's this, let us say my function. Okay, so we use the Derive class here, my child class. Okay, and our object, my object. Alright, so object, my function. So this function is from the base class, which is my function string x. So we are going to transfer this value. So the value of this, okay, gathering data will be stored in this particular variable, okay, or storage, and then we're gonna call this one. So here, this is our variable, So we're gonna call this one and pass the value into this particular member function of the base class. Okay, and this one and this two value that is being gathered, we are gonna transfer this data into the derived class. Okay, so how are we going to do it? So we just need to call my object, my other function, so which is, let me change this one into bar. Okay, it's because our function here is bar. Okay, we deleted the other function that we create that is already created here earlier, so we used to change it bar, so that is why we will change here also bar. Okay, and we will delete that one. Alright, so I think we're done. So let us see what will happen to our program. So let us run. Alright, wait a minute. Okay, there you go. So enter your name. So this first statement is being executed here in the output screen. So let us input first the data, which is, like for example, Charles. Okay, so we need to input value 1 and value 2 in order to calculate the two value. So let us say 3 times 4. Alright, so Charles, the total value is 12. Okay, as you can see here, our output is not properly organized. It's because, as you can see, the letters or the words here are stick together. So let us make this as arrange. Okay, so let us arrange the statement that we can see as an output, and we need to have a, what's this, we need to have a space here between the input and the output also. So let us change this one into small letters, so that the statement here will be, like for example, that one. So let us have a space, so that there will be a space here also, and the other one is here. So let us what's this, let us put end line here. Okay, let us run again. Oh wait, this is not here. Here. Let me close this one. Nick, 2 times 3. Wait for a while. Let me start again. So I entered once, 2. Oh, there is a problem here. We just don't need to use that one. We will gonna have new line here. Okay, let us try again. 3, 2. There you go. So as you can see now, our output is already organized. Okay, so there is an input for our name, input for the data that we are going to calculate, 2 times 3. Okay, and the statement that we want to give as an output. So hi Nick, the total value is 6. Okay, so that's how inheritance works. So as you can see here, our data is not just from the derived class, but they are merged together from the base class and the derived class, because as what I have explained earlier, whatever the member function here in the base class can be inherited by the derived class. So we just need to create only one object in order to what? In order to access all the member function at the top. Okay, so whether the member function is inside the base class or inside the derived class. Okay, so this is how the program works. This is how inheritance works. Okay, I hope you learned something about this discussion, inheritance. Okay, so at the end of this discussion, you will have your quiz and your activity. So you can watch this example so that you will learn how are you going to do it to create a program using inheritance. Okay, but there are many ways to use this program or use this particular concept in the inheritance. So you will learn that one by developing your skills and studying more about inheritance. Okay, so this is the end for my presentation of this program. So let's go back here. Okay, so I hope you learned here how does inheritance work in a program. Okay, so let us go to your assessment number 1. Okay, so these are your assessment. Read and understand the statement carefully. Write your answer on the space provided. Alright, so this is a quiz, so I will be putting this one into the LMS. Okay, so you are just gonna answer this one as a quiz there. Alright, and the last one is the activity. So this is what I have said, that at the end of the discussion you will do something in order for you to what? In order for you to use inheritance in a program. Okay, so here you're gonna create a program that has a base class vehicle. Okay, it's up to you on what name that you want for the derived class. Okay, remember, if inheritance will only be used or can only be used if the two things will have a link together or a relationship between the base class and the derived class. Okay, so you already know what are those specific things that is having a relationship between vehicle, right? So you can use that one also, but it's up to you what kind of derived class name you're going to use. Okay, provide at least 2 member in each class, whether a derived member function or a data function, a data member. Okay, a data member is, as what I have explained to you earlier, is a variable which has a data type. So that is a data member. Okay, and the member function is the function inside the class, okay, that we use. Okay, so you should let the user input the data that you want to gather for each of the class member. Okay, so make sure that you are going to input data and provide output, not just providing input without having an output, right? Okay, so you need to write the data, then after writing all the data, if you enter the program, then there will be an output below the inputted data from the above. Alright, so I hope you will understand about this activity. Okay, so God bless to your activity 1. Okay, and now we're gonna proceed to the lesson number 2, which is the function overriding. Okay, so let's go. Okay, function overriding is another concept of programming. Okay, so this is just the same with inheritance, but there is the same function member inside the what? Inside the class. Okay, so how does it works? Why is it called overriding? Okay, so you will see soon. Okay, but before that, let us go to the objectives of this discussion. First, understand the concept of function overriding. Identify the different ways of accessing base class able to discuss the process of accessing the base class using scope resolution operator. Okay, so scope using resolution operator is 2:. Okay, pointer. Okay, we will use pointer, and calling overriding function from a member function of the derived class. Okay, so you will not you will not understand what are these things, but I will explaining this to you on this particular topic. Okay, so that you will understand what is a scope resolution operator, what is the purpose of that. Okay, what is the pointer, how are we gonna use the pointer. Okay, what is calling overriding function from a member function of the derived class. Okay, that's all. That all will be explained in this topic. Okay, so let's go. Introduction. Inheritance, as we all know, is an OP feature that allows to build derived classes from the base class. Yes, so the base class characteristics are passed down the derived classes. Yes, so all the characteristics of the base class will be passed into the child class or the derived class. Okay, assume that the derived class and the base class both define the same function. Okay, meaning if what if both both base class and derived class has the same member functioning. Okay, example is print. We have the member function of the base class print, and we have also a member function of the derived class print. Okay, what does it happen, or what happened to our program? Okay, so if we are going to use an object which is used by a derived class. Okay, and how is the data from the base class can be called or can be executed also if we are going to call only one name of the member function inside the class. Okay, that's the questions inside our mind, but I will show you how on this particular topic. Okay, when we call this method with this derived class object, the derived class function is run. Yes, so the derived function is run. Okay, in C++ there is referred to as function overriding. Okay, function overriding. What is a function overriding? How does it overrides? Okay, the derived class function overrides the base class function. Okay, so if there are two member function which has the same name from the base class and the derived class, what does it happen is the base class member function will be derived, and the override, and the derived member function will be executed. So meaning whatever the value, whatever the definition of the member function in the base class will not be executed. Instead, it will overrides into the derived class. Okay, it will overrides into the derived class, and the derived class member function will be executed since this two function has the same name. Okay, so that is why we have a we have what we call function overriding. Okay, let me show you this one. Alright, here as you can see, we have a void print member function for the base class, and we have print also void print member function of the derived class. Okay, as what I explained, this will be overriding when you are going to call this member function. Okay, so the example is this one. So you created an object to be used to call the member function, right? So you use the derived class to create an object, same with the inheritance earlier that we have discussed. So this object is used to call the member function of each base class, each class, right? So here, since both member function of each class has the same name, then we will just use derive one that print. Okay, what other name that we can call, right? It's because the member function that we have here has the same name, so we just only have one calling of this function, of this statement. This statement is only call this particular member function inside, right? So what will happen here is that if the program executes, this will check here in the base class. This will be checked. But since our base class is a mother class, so let's for example in our house, if we have a food, we are eating on the like for example on our meal, so if there is a variance of the mother will just give that variance to the to the child, so that the child can eat on his meal, right? Or a mother will just give what she eat in order to let her child eat that food. Okay, so meaning the base class will just give a what we call this one, I forgot the term. We'll just give I forgot. Okay, the base class will just give the child class to be executed rather than the base class. Okay, so he gives the base class give up his thing in order to let the derived class or the child class execute his things. Okay, so that's the reason for this particular program. So that will be overriding. Okay, this member function will not execute, but this will execute, okay, the derived class, since we use the function member function to create an object. Okay, and that object is just calling his own member function. Okay, so the output of this is this one. Okay, so derive function. Okay, so the base function is not being executed as an output. Okay, but there are many ways to make this also execute, okay, and provide as an output. Okay, how are we going to do it? So let me give you an example. So I hope you understand this part, right? How does function overriding works when there are two member function with the same name? Okay, so let me skip this one here. The function was overridden, as we can see, okay, because it was called from a derived class object. Okay, so the base class was overridden is because, as you can see, we use the derived class to create the object in order to call the member function. Okay, so that's the main reason why the base class is being overridden, since the two member function has the same name. But there are ways to call also, or to execute also, the name or the member function of the base class. How are we going to do it? So we just need to call the member function base class using this one statement. So we will use now base class to create his own or her own object. Okay, we will use base class to create her own object, and that object is used to call the member function, which is print. Okay, look like this one. Okay, so let me show you an example of the program. Okay, this one. So I have here an example. This is also used during the online class. So we have here the same member function of the base class and the derived class. So here also we have print, and here also we have print. Okay, so as you can see here, I just created a data member inside the derived class here, so I didn't have created anything, so just having a member function inside. Alright, so I used to pass data here in our parameter of this particular member function and calculated this particular data. So this is wrong. Let me, okay, and the other one we have here, this one, and A and B and string names. Alright, yeah. So what I did is I used to create this one. Okay, so first thing, as what I have discussed, we can call the member function and the base class. We can call the member function of the base class and member function of the derived class once if we are gonna use each base class and derived class to create its own object, okay, in order to call the member function inside it. Okay, so let me show you how to do it. Okay, so as you can see, I used derive 1. Okay, and I will use base class base. Okay, then I will use to create I will create the object for the base class, and let us say base 1, base 2. Alright, here. So these are the objects that I used. Okay, so we have here the object of the derived class and the object of the base class. Okay, so let us see if we can execute the two member function once. Alright, so since both member function has the same name, so let us call the member function from the derived class here. So we have der1 dot, what is the member function that we have? Print. Okay, choose this one. Okay, choose this, enter, and we will gonna A B. Okay, and the other one is base that 2, base 2 that print. Okay, then we will pass this data name, okay, to the semicolon. Alright, so let us try if this will execute. So since we have a data here, so as you can see, each member function has not the same data inside, or they don't have the same parameter. So here our member function here is only have one parameter, and this member function is having a two member function, two parameter. Okay, so let us try to run this one. Alright, So multiply two numbers. So enter name. Let us say Nick. First value. So let us say 3, then 2. Okay, total is 6. Hello Nick. Alright. So since this member function is the last one to call, so that is why the first to be executed is the Derive class. Okay. Alright, so we have the total. So if you're gonna transfer this one here, let us try. Nick, 4 times 4. Okay, hello Nick, the total is 12. So that's how it works. So I hope you learned something about this one. First step, this is the first step on how to execute the value or the member function inside the base class. Okay, so you just need to create another object using base class. Okay, so you separate the two so that the member function inside the base class cannot be overridden. Okay, so you should remember that one. And there are also other three concept of calling also or executing the member function of the base class. Not just this one, not just creating two object to call their own member function. So we can use another one, which is the access overridden function in C++. Okay, the scope resolution operator is used to access the base class overridden function. So as you can see, we have created an object, two object. We will create two object using Derive class. Okay, Derive 1 and Derive 2. Okay, this two object is created using the Derive class, as you can see here. So we will not use a base class name in order to create another object. So we just create the Derive class to create two objects, and to call the member function, we have here the statement derive2.base : print. Okay, that one. So this is the concept of calling the member function of the base class. Okay, without calling again the base class in order to create an object, and that object will be used to call the member function of the base class. Okay, so this one is the second option to call the member function of the base class. Okay, so you just need to create the two object. Okay, this one is to call the member function of the Derive class, and this one is to call the member function of the base class. Do not forget, okay, please note, do not forget the base name of the base class, and the what's this scope resolution operator. Okay, so do not forget the scope resolution operator to call the member function of the base class. Okay, so the output of this is the same. All of the program will be output. So let us try here. So we just have there two, and we're gonna oh wait, there two dot print name. Okay, what is missing here? The missing here is the scope resolution operator with the name. So let us have base : okay, then try to run the program. Nick, 3 times 2 6. Hello Nick, total is 6. Okay, so that's how simple it is. Okay, so this is the second option of calling the member function within the base class. Okay, so just create two object using derived class, and just use the scope of resolution operator to call the member function of the base class. Okay, so using the name also of the base class and the two colon. Okay, so I hope you understand this one. Okay, so this is the second way of calling the member function of the base class without creating object using base class. Okay, so next, okay, so this example. So this one, derive print, will be calling this particular member function, and this object will be calling the member function of the base class. It's because of this keyword base and using the scope resolution operator, which is the colon. Okay, so please remember that one. Next is call overridden function from a member function of the derived class. Okay, so how are you going to do it? Simple. So we just need to call the member function of the base class from the derived class member function. Okay, so how are we going to do it? So this is our member function of the base class, and this is our member function of the derived class. So we just need to call it here. Okay, so we just use this statement, base colon print open close parenthesis. So automatic, you just create only one object to call all the member function from the base class and the derived class. So as you can see here, we just call derived one print. Okay, we just only call this member function, and all at once the output will be executed. Okay, it's because what will happen here, first this will be overridden here in the base class. After overriding this one, this will be executed. Okay, since this will be executed, this particular statement will call the member function of the base class in order to also to bring out here in the derived class, so that this will be executed. So as you can see, the output here is base function. Okay, I have here flow there. So if you call this object, this statement, if you are going to call this member function, then this will be executed, but then the member function will call the member function of the base class in order to be executed. Okay, so from left, from derived one member function to the base class member function. Okay, so this is how it works. So let us try. So I will only create on one object. Let me there. On this part, this will not work. Why? Oh, no, it's work. Oh, sorry, this will not work. Why? It's because we are gathering data here from the main function. What will happen if you're gonna use that one? Okay. Let us try. I will show you what will happen. Okay, so we will just call the member function of the derived class there, and I am going to call the base class print there. What will happen is that we cannot transfer data. Okay, here because our gathering of data is from the main function. What we are going to do is we are gonna pass this one. We're gonna use this one, and we are gonna add a parameter here also, which is a string ABC. I'm gonna say C. Okay, and this C will be passed here. Alright, so that's how we're going to do it. So let's see. Nick 2 3, there you go. Total is 6. Hello Nick. Okay, so as you can see, our output is not the same compared before. It's because we used to call the member function of the base class inside the member function of the derived class, but since still it is working. But if you are going to analyze, if there are only 2 member function here in the derived class, how are you gonna pass this data, this name, right? So you cannot pass this directly using name here. Okay, that will not be considered as passing a data. It's because there is no there is no presence, or there is no presence of a base class here in the main function. It's because we only call the base class here in the derived class. So if you are gonna run this, program, or we are gonna run, what will happen is an error. Okay, name was not declared. It's because our name here is not being declared. Okay, so in order to execute our program, we need to create another parameter here in order to pass this data using this derive or object or statement, this one. Okay, we're gonna create another object here. We're gonna pass this data here also, and we're gonna add parameter string C, and this particular value will be passed here. Okay, that's how it gonna works. You cannot use directly this variable to put it inside here. Alright, so that is why we're gonna pass this data in order to execute the member functions inside the base class. Alright, so I hope you understand how we do it. Okay, on calling the base class member function inside the member function of the derived class. Okay, so that's how I'm gonna do it. But note, it depends. This particular concept of calling the member function of the base class is having a different concept also on the specific part of program, the specific problem of what you have created. Okay, so you as a programmer will identify when to use this kind of calling a member function. Okay, and how are you gonna implement it in order to get the concept. Okay, not just using this one is because you want. No, you will gonna think the way you want it to make the program work better. Okay, not just by using it without thinking. Okay, it's because you just use this one because you want it to be easy. No, there are many things that we need to consider by using this particular concept of calling the member function in the base class using derived overriding. Okay, so it depends on the program also, or it depends on the problem that you are solving. Alright, so I hope you understand how we are gonna call the member function of the base class from the derived member function. Okay, so next is this one. Next is call a Overridden function using a pointer. So this is the last part. Okay, how are we going to call using a pointer? Okay, so this is very tricky. Okay, although you will just create only one object here using a derived class, but there are two statement that you need to understand well. Okay, so first, as you can see here, so let us see directly in the main function. So we have derived class, and we used to have object derive 1. Okay, so how are we going to call the member function of the base class? Okay, to call the derived function of the base class, we just need to use this particular statement. Okay, so base asterisk ptr, meaning pointer, is equals to ampersand derive 1. Okay, so this is what we call the pointer of the base type that points to the derive 1. Okay, so this will point out the base type. Okay, the data type of our base type, or of our base class, or class base. Okay, and this one is the what? This is used to call the member function of the base class. Okay, so ptr, okay, then arrow, print, open close parenthesis. Okay, so automatic, the output is base function. Okay, so meaning this time we only just call a base function or member function of the base class, not in the derived class. Okay, but we can also use this object to call the member function of the derived class. Okay, let me show you. Alright, so let us add this one and remove that one, and let us begin. Okay, first we will call this member function, okay, using only one object that we created using derived class. So let us start there one dot, okay, print, okay, whether this one or this one. Okay, so it's up to you. So since we use the derived class object, so we are gonna use this part. Okay, so we will remove this first, and then we're gonna pass data a and b. Okay, then that one. Okay, so now we are gonna call the member function of the base class using this concept. Okay, so let us do that first. So base asterisk, okay, ptr equals equals ampersand derived, there one. Okay, So this is the pointer of our base to our base type, and to call the function of our class base. So let us ptr that one, and then print. Okay, and then we are gonna pass this data name. Okay, alright, so let us run. Nick. Okay, hello Nick, total is 6. See, so that's how it works. Okay, so we just only have one object that is being created using Derive class. Okay, Derive class, and we just use this statement in order to specify the pointer of our base class, and this one is to call the member function of our base class. Okay, so this is to point out the member type, base type. This is to point out the base type of our base class, and this one is used to call the member function of our base class. Okay, and this one also is used to call the member function of the Derive class. Alright, so I hope you learned something about this one. Okay, so as based on our discussion about overriding, so we have 4 ways to execute the member function of our base class. First is use the base class to create an object in order to call on its own member function. Okay, that's the first. It's because if we do not do that, it will automatically derived or overridden by the Derive class. Okay, so the member function of the base class will not be executed if we only use to create one member function and just use that object once. Okay, just call print and that's it. Okay, so meaning there will be overriding, okay, of the base class. Okay, so the only thing that will execute is the member function of the Derive class. So we need to create a new object using base class to call on its own member function. That is first way to execute the member function of the base class without in order to avoid overriding. Second is using a scope operator. What's that? I forgot the name. Scope resolution operator. Okay, scope resolution operator. So this is the second way to call the member function of the base class. Third is using calling a member function of the base class inside the member function of the Derive class. So this is the third way, and the fourth way is using a pointer. Okay, right? So I hope you learn on this particular topic how we're going to execute the member function with which has the same member function of base class and the Derive class. Alright, so let's just forget this one. I already discussed this here. Okay, so this is now our assessment number 2 for the topic number 2. Okay, so this is also a quiz, so I will just put this on the LMS. And the activity number 2. Okay, here guys. So I want you to choose from the 4. Okay, 3 now. I just put here 3. Okay, 3. Okay, without including the base, creating the object using base class. That's not be included. So you start from the start from using of scope resolution operator, calling a member function of the base class inside the Derive class, and the third one is using printer. Okay, so choose the three ways of calling overridden function and apply it to the program that you want to create. Okay, so you are gonna create a program, okay, which has function overriding. Okay, and make sure that you need to ask the users for the data that you want to gather. Okay, so just pick a program that you want to create and use function overriding. Okay, and choose the three ways of calling the member function of the base class in order to be executed. Okay, so it's up to you. Okay, please take note that do not create a program which is very simple, which is do not have a calculation or just gathering data. What is your name, or is your address, what is your contact number? Avoid that one. Please do some program which has a calculation. Okay, so it's up to you, or there is a complication also on the process of the program. Okay, so it's up to you to search on that particular program, which is not very easy for me to check or for me to see your program. Alright, so please use this opportunity to show that you already understand, or that you understand our topic from the beginning of our class up to here, since this is our last topic for this semester. Okay, so this is already final. Okay, so please make a program that makes me amazed. Okay, it's because you created a program on that particular way. Alright, so I think that's all. Thank you so much for listening. So if you have any questions, clarifications about the topic, so just send me a message directly. Okay, thank you so much and God bless. Bye bye.